I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the News du Jour, a calmer space to consume the news. So today we are going to be mostly learning about Trump's new charges in Florida in the documents case brought by Jack Smith. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you guys that with this crazy summer heat, hydrating is more important than ever. It's a perfect time to stock up on Liquid IV, the product that helps your daily water go further. We have a 20% off code where you can get your whole purchase on a discount. Simply use code DUJOUR, that's DUJOUR, at checkout and get 20% off Liquid IV, the hydration multiplier. Also, if you are a listener of ours in Ireland, will you email me? Our audience is growing like wildfire there, and I would love to know how you heard about us and buy you a coffee. You can find my email address in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here. So for our first mini story today, I just wanted to let you guys know that unfortunately, a government shutdown looks likely. The president and McCarthy had a handshake deal that broke down thanks to pressure from the far right on McCarthy. So now it seems that the two sides may not be able to reach an agreement on spending, and if they can't agree, there will be a government shutdown, which is never a good look for anyone on Capitol Hill. We'll definitely keep you guys posted. And now, without further ado, as promised on our Instagram stories, we will be discussing Donald Trump's new charges. Unfortunately, this news came out right after I had recorded and scheduled the last episode for last week, so it just didn't get there in time for me to cover it. But you know what? There's a lot to go over here, so it is much better to be doing it today where we can use the bulk of the episode to go over these brand new charges. Let's get into it. So this is actually not the breaking news indictment that we thought we were going to be getting. We thought that Jack Smith was going to be bringing charges against former President Trump regarding the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And it seems that those charges are still looming. But the press corps that assembled in D.C., drooling at the prospect of being boots on the ground for such an announcement, were sadly disappointed and booking flights to Miami because these charges were also being brought in Florida like the first round, as they are just kind of add-ons to the previous document case. Basically, what these new charges amount to is an enormous cover-up. Sometimes people say about situations like, Watergate, for example, that, quote, the cover-up was worse than the crime, end quote, if you've ever heard that kind of a phrase. Well, in this instance, because Trump allegedly kept our state secrets where people could easily access them and bragged about it publicly, I would say the cover-up is as bad as the crime because both were pretty horrible. At one point on this podcast, we talked about a security room with video cameras at Mar-a-Lago that had been conveniently flooded. Remember that? I had said it sounded like something out of a movie. Well, it looks like these charges stem directly from the president's efforts to destroy that camera footage at Mar-a-Lago. He did so via two men who are also named in this indictment, the property manager Carlos de Oliveira and Walt Nauta, the man involved with Trump's initial set of document-related charges. So, what are the details of this crime? Did they really flood the room intentionally to destroy that evidence? We don't know that level of specifics, but here's what we do know. President Trump has been accused of violating the Espionage Act because he kept all of those documents. But he also just had 3 charges added that are related to tampering with evidence or obstructing justice. The specifics read that he attempted to, quote, alter, destroy, mutilate, or conceal evidence, end quote. Apparently, once Jack Smith began investigating Trump's documents case, he realized about the same time that Trump did that the surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago was going to be key in this case. And it's almost like they both went and reached for it at the same time. But Trump's efforts to destroy it just landed him in more trouble because the special counsel needed that evidence. And so they're going to charge him for trying to destroy it. And the reason that we know all of this, according to MSNBC's podcast episode on this subject, is because a few other employees of Trump's said, I never signed up for this, and refused when the former president asked them to help destroy these tapes. And now those employees, they've helped lead the special counsel to what they needed to know and further evidence. Trump is scheduled to be arraigned in court on Monday, again in Miami. Oh, Jack. I feel like Jack is just toying with us here. He's like a cat playing with a mouse. He is having fun setting our expectations in one place and then sideswiping us elsewhere. Nice moves, Jack. We will have to learn to expect the unexpected from you, I suppose. And we will also keep you guys posted about any further charges in Georgia that may come out this week. Things are definitely heating up there. And if there's anything new in the Manhattan case, there's a lot going on here when it comes to Trump's legal battles, and we'll definitely keep you guys posted. On a side note, but related to this subject, in Iowa, there was a GOP event called the Lincoln Dinner, and it's a fundraiser of sorts. And of course, a lot of the Republican candidates for president were gathered there to gather donations. But one of them, Will Hurd from Texas, literally said from the stage during his speech, quote, Donald Trump is not running for president to represent the people that voted for him in 2016 and 2020. Donald Trump is running for president to stay out of prison, end quote. He went on to say that nominating President Trump as the Republican candidate for president means that there will be another 4 years for President Biden. Woof. That is strong language coming from a fellow Republican. Typically, these candidates have shied away from, disparaging President Trump head on, mostly because they don't want to lose his voters. But apparently, the tide might be turning. We'll keep you guys posted. And lastly, before we go for the day, I did want to tell you guys a little bit more about this deadly heat wave that is going on here in the United States. So it's likely that you guys are experiencing this right along with me, but there is a dangerous heat wave gripping most of the United States right now. Heat exhaustion and heat strokes are a real thing, and they happen most commonly to the very old and very young, but we are all at risk for them. Heat strokes can actually kill you, so cities have had to set up cooling stations to help anyone who may be homeless or without access to air conditioning cool down enough to stay safe. Doctors are seeing related deaths all over the country, and now is the time to really make sure you're taking care of yourself and anyone else in your life who might fall into those most at-risk categories. Be sure to look out for symptoms like heavy sweating accompanied with dizziness and headaches. In children, this can present actually as tiredness or sleepiness, staring into space, red cheeks, stuff like that. When this happens, you need to get your body temperature lower as soon as possible, according to experts on NPR. Some of the ways you can do this is obviously getting into air conditioning as soon as possible. Of course, there are public areas that have air conditioning, go to the mall, go to Barnes and Noble, something like that. Just get into AC first and foremost. Drink cold water. Even use ice packs to cool down your body physically as well. That's what they're going to do first thing at the hospital. But if you think you're having a heat stroke, call 911, go straight to the hospital, and don't hesitate. Don't wait till it's too late. Experts are saying that the worst of this heat wave is supposed to be this Friday, but I'll believe it when I see it. We still have the whole month of August to tackle. So anywho, I hope that they're right, but that for today, you guys, is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "When you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat." If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfree media. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just Sugarfree Media, all one word, on TikTok. Any little noises you may hear in the background are my rescue pup. He has a little separation anxiety and always records with me. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour.
Broadcasting from Oklahoma.